Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk all about news, comics, and media related to the Transformers. On this episode, we've got more details about Skybound's take on Transformers and G.I. Joe in the Energon Universe. A Rise of the Beast sequel may already be in the works, and are Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johanson the new Transformers power couple in the upcoming animated Transformers 1? Today is Friday, June 23rd, 2023, and this is episode 443 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that wonders why Pete Davidson didn't have Mirage take the wheel if he was going to drive recklessly. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Hey everybody, let's talk Transformers.
As always, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate your contributions. It's because of you that we keep the show going. So thank you for all that support. If you'd like to become a Donatron, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. That's where you can sign up. You get bonus content. You get to watch the show live if you want. And you get merchandise at the higher levels and automatic entries into all our contests. So lots of good stuff, lots of perks. Speaking of bonus content, we've got all the episodes of our bonus show, We Like Big Bots, on our Patreon page, featuring Daryl and Dr. Pants. And more Big Bot episodes coming very soon. So we're looking forward to that. Also, this week we have the next episode of Empire of Rust. This is episode 103. It's Smurf, but for time. And this is the regular version of the episode, so it's available in the Empire of Rust free feed. So that's at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. This Monday coming is episode 104, the bonus version, which will be available only to Donatrons, but they get it a week early, so you'll have to wait another week for the regular version of episode 104. So if you want to get 104 early and you just can't wait to see what happens next in Empire of Rust, got to become a Donatron. Sign up. And before we get into the rest of our alt mode discussion, just remind you that our friends at Toyhax are still providing that promo code for us. So this is throughout the month of June. Use our code REWIND to save 15% off Toyhax and all your label needs at toyhax.com. So make sure you use that code. It's good for, not good with other promos, but is good with your Robo points. So take advantage of that. Also good with our Toyhax gift codes if you won the contest. As one of our listeners pointed out, they used the code and got the discount, so it's good savings. So check it out. All right, let's start off alt mode with comics news. What's this again? More comics news. So last week, we had the big reveal in alt mode of Robert Kirkman and Skybound launching the new Transformers G.I. Joe universe, the Energon Universe. And we had more. There was more news coming that it announced after we recorded last week that Skybound is continuing their tradition of the original G.I. Joe comic. So G.I. Joe, a real American hero, started in Marvel, continued in IDW. Now it is continuing at Skybound, starting at issue number 301. So it is, I love how they did in the cover for the first issue. It's the 301st issue. So yeah, that's great. Great to see Larry Hama continuing to write G.I. Joe comics. And I think one of the quotes was Hasbro, maybe Michael Kelly, the head VP of marketing at Hasbro, said, we'll let Larry Hama continue writing G.I. Joe comics as long as he wants to. So
that's great.
Yeah. I think it's probably because they're all afraid of him.
Well, yeah. But one thing that's interesting though is this has got the Image logo on it, not the Skybound. I mean, it has the little Skybound logo, but whereas the Void Rivals is Skybound's more prominent.
Interesting.
I guess that'll set it apart from the Energon Universe G.I. Joe books.
Yeah, so this is continuing. This is the Larry Hama G.I. Joe universe. So this spans across companies and publishers.
This goes back to the original Marvel series. So
and legacy numbering and all that stuff. So yeah. So
I'm also seeing a little bit of a homage to the original G1 #1 on this cover.
The G1 G.I. Joe.
Yeah, #1 G.I. Joe. They were all riding a tank and kind of riding into battle and stuff. So
yeah,
a bit of an homage there.
And you can see it definitely does pick up because you have the female Snake Eyes next to the original Snake Eyes. And that was the female one was one introduced in the IDW run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this I mean, forgive us for putting a little G.I. Joe news in a Transformers podcast, but I think this is just really cool. And Larry Hama is a great guy. It's great to see that he's continuing the story he started 40 years ago with G.I. Joe and as still going strong. So yeah, Larry Hama, keep going. Stay alive, please. continue to write G.I. Joe comics as long as you can.
Apparently Image is using Lunar for their publishing. They're moved off of Diamond. So
I don't even know who. I don't even know who's still with Diamond.
Yeah,
there's not many with Diamond anymore.
Oh,
the Diamond stranglehold on the comics industry has collapsed, apparently.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. We've got so apparently the Void Rivals comic, the surprise and the hype worked. So Void Rivals sold gangbusters. They shipped over 100,000 comics to comic shops. I don't know what the sell-through numbers are. We'll probably have to wait a few months to get like the real sell-through numbers, like how many people actually bought these comics, but comic shops picked them up. And they are already doing a second printing of the first issue of Void Rivals. And yeah, if you missed out on that super rare incentive cover that was 1 in 100 with Jetfire on the cover, well, now you can get the second printing cover that has Jetfire on it. And there's two of them too. So there's one super cool Jetfire and one extra cool Jetfire from Sesame Street. So
yep. That's the one I'm going
very
for.
Cool. Yeah.
It's a take on the whole monster at the end of this book starring Grover.
Yeah.
And that's great.
I'm going to try and get both because they look great.
Yeah. Looks like they will probably be produced in sufficient quantities that if you want one, you can get one. Not like that retailer incentive one that nobody could get, or you had to pay an exorbitant price to get. So at least this is for Transformers fans who missed out on Void Rivals, you can pick up this issue next month. So pretty cool. And then we have a look at Void Rivals #2. So there's a preview, and I think it's for the first 5 pages of the second issue. There are no more Transformers featured in this preview, but if you were sucked in by the first Void Rivals, you can take a look, and it expands a little bit of the backstory of what's going on with these two alien races. Don't really have anything to do with Transformers at this point, but we know it's in the shared universe, so hopefully some Transformers references will come into play at some point in Void Rivals. So I think the first issue was interesting. It's a nice little hook. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes and seeing what how they're going to use this shared universe to tell new stories in addition to the Transformer stories that we've got coming in a few months. So we'll take a look at that. Daryl, I saw what you were trying to do, trying to throw me off my game. It didn't work. So
He's in his element with the comic stuff, Daryl.
That's true. I should have known better. While we're
been
on
waiting
Void
too long.
Rivals, I was watching a YouTuber who's talking about like upcoming books and previous books. That's, as far as like which ones to pick up and which ones are going to be like, good to buy. And he does a lot of speculation talk and what books are might end up being worth money and whatnot. And then he talked about Void Rivals and said, well, if you're picking up Void Rivals on the off chance that it's going to be worth money, he's like, I would hazard you against that, caution you, because Transformers and both Transformers and G.I. Joe have been around for quite some time, and you know this relaunch of the franchises are not it's nothing particularly new for G.I. Joe and Transformers. So if you look at them historically, whenever they get relaunched, those first issues never really go skyrocketing in value. So if you're looking at Void Rivals as something like, oh man, I'm going to get this book and it's going to be worth a bunch of money, probably not. If you're a Transformers fan and you want to get a book that is just because this is where the universe starts and it's the relaunch, then do it. That's why I bought 4 copies of it. I just wanted to get the relaunch and that kind of thing. I wanted to be right into it. But if you're buying this book, you're trying to buy every copy of Void Rivals #1 because you're thinking it's going to get be valuable. Probably not. And history will tell you that most Transformers books do not, go up in value very high. There are, exceptions to every rule, but on average, most Transformers books are not valuable. You read them because you love them.
Yeah, I mean, I would extend that argument to all modern comics these days. I mean, I don't think any like in the era that we're in, where you can read lots of things digitally. I mean, I think the only thing that's really going to determine the future rarity or future value of things is relative rarity to popularity of the characters, and I think Void Rivals was produced in heavy quantities compared to other comics, so it's not going to be rare. Void Rivals #1 is not going to be a rare book,
No.
other than that 1 in 100 Jetfire variant. That's probably that's
Which
the only,
you can do the math on. If they produced 1,000 or 100,000 copies of that book and shipped them, there are 1,000 copies of that book out there, right?
10,000. Oh,
Sorry,
no, you're right. 1,000. No,
Yeah,
1,000. You're right. Sorry, you're
it's
right.
1,000.
Sorry.
There's
Yeah,
right. I thought I did the math right.
you did the math right.
So, so and that's only under the impression that 1,000 stores ordered 100 of them, right? Because it's 100, it's a 1 in 100 variant. So sure, they potentially could have printed 100 of them, which they probably did, right? But did they
1,000,
ship?
you mean?
Sorry, 1,000, yeah. But did they ship 1,000 of them? That's the biggest question. Are there 1,000 of them out there available? And are they worth $100, $200 a piece? No, they're not, right? But that false scarcity that is created by these the variant industry is out there right now for this book, and you don't need to pay it if you wait, because history, you can just simply look at history on these Transformers books, and it'll become available for much cheaper down the road.
I mean, I think, if you're buying comics like hoping that they're going to go up in value, buy comics because you like them and you read them and then you enjoy them. Don't buy them hoping that they're going to be an investment. That's what almost destroyed comics in the 90s, is lots of speculators getting in and trying to, buy comics and hope they're going to go up in value. it's not going to happen. The comics that'll be valuable in the future are the ones that you're not looking at now. So just don't worry about it. There's some obscure comic that is produced in low quantities that will somehow catch on and be turned into a TV show or movie in the future, and that's the comic that's going to be super valuable. But you're not looking at it now because you have no idea what that comic's going to be and what's going to catch on. So unless you have a crystal ball and can tell the future, you're never going to be able to chase that that super valuable comic. So
well,
don't worry about it.
the pandemic made comics crazy collectible again, and people were chasing them because they had time and money to do so. So this is just something it's starting to die down again because obviously the pandemic's on its last legs, and but it's one of those things that people still chase that rare comic, and I want to reiterate, Void Rivals #1 is not rare. It is, you buy it because you're excited about Transformers relaunching at Image Skybound, and that's the reason why it is not going to be a valuable book.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep. I mean, I would have, if I had, of course, I mean, if we had known Robert Kirkman was going to turn into the superstar he is now, we would have bought Walking Dead #1 back in 2003. We would have bought Invincible #1. I don't remember what year that came out, but whenever that came out, I mean, it's, you're never going to know this ahead of time. So, don't worry about it. Just enjoy comics. Enjoy them, read them, have fun. All right. Next, we've got a bunch of interviews at different places with Robert Kirkman and Michael Kelly at Hasbro and the new writer and artist on the Transformers books, which his name is escaping me just at this moment. But they're all contributed. They're all doing the interview circuit. Daniel Warren Johnson, that's the writer and artist on Transformers, and then Joshua Williamson, who's the writer on G.I. Joe, the Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries. So they are all giving interviews. We've got one from Popverse. We've got one from Comic Book Resources. And we've got one from the AIPT. So, we'll have links to all those in the show notes. I think they're all kind of saying, I haven't read through all of these interviews, but they're all kind of just saying the same things about how they're so excited and they're all fans of Transformers and really interested to do this, kind of new shared universe, Ultimate Transformers that's being thrown around a lot. Okay. IDW was also called Ultimate Transformer. At the time they were imagining it as Ultimate Transformers. So, just saying that. So it's Ultimate Transformers again.
I mean, it's a new story.
Yeah.
They're not continuing any previous storylines. Their origin might differ from the one you love, but it's a reboot. Deal with it.
Yep.
And move on.
So I like that it's generating excitement for Transformers again. I like that Robert Kirkman is really banging the drum for Transformers. I think that's great to see him try, using his kind of position in comics to push Transformers to the foreground. And hopefully this is maybe this introduces a lot of new comics readers to Transformers for the first time, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, we still don't know if it's going to be good, so we're waiting for that first issue later in the fall. So I'm hopeful that it'll be a good new direction and looking forward to it.
Well, I can tell you from following Daniel Warren Johnson on Twitter for the last few days that he's a huge wrestling fan, and I can assume, not that I'm into wrestling because I'm not, but I can assume there's going to be a bunch of fighting, which I am in for. So let's bring the fighting back to Transformers.
Action, yeah.
We need more politics. This is why we're such a well-rounded show.
Turns out the Decepticon threat was Senate redistricting.
We'll spend the next 5 issues going through the paperwork trying to figure out why it happened, how it happened, and what where the little typo was that made it that got the Decepticons to be in power.
We'll have a story about a trade blockade.
God.
I will make it legal. All right,
because I said it was legal. I declassified it with my eyes.
Well, that's all our comics news for Transformers, and looks like I imagine we might get some more tidbits when SDCC happens next month. So that's probably going to be another big push with Skybound. So looking forward to that. But we've got even more stuff going on in Transformers media news. So let's do that now.
Oh boy, that's me. All right. Well, no, you know what Rocket League is?
Yep.
Well, I don't.
It's soccer with cars.
They're crossing over with Transformers. And in another bit of a collab, Transformers is collabing with everything right now. So for 2,500 credits, you can get the Transformers bundle, which is a Bumblebee car, the Bumblebee engine auto, and the Bumblebee wheel. The car is the Dominus Hitbox, apparently. If you know Rocket League, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You also, in that bundle, you also get the Optimus Prime Goal Explosion, the Blueprint Bumblebee player banner, 2 Transformers themed player titles. So that's a lot for 2,500 credits. For a little less, for 800 credits, you can get the Optimus Prime Goal Explosion, which that's it. That's all you're getting.
And see a little bit in this video here.
You got that?
Embiggen.
Well,
oh, I've seen this played.
Yeah, I'm a casual Rocket League player. I'll play on my Switch every so often.
Okay.
There we go.
It's free to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's why all these things are microtransactions
right.
here.
I haven't put any money into it, and really, I'm not going to put money into it for this. But you know, it's cool that they do it.
Mm-hmm. Then for 300 credits, you can get the Transformers theme, the player anthem. So this is something that is taking place from June 14th to June 27th. So take a look if you are a fan of Rocket League. While we're talking about this video game stuff, Transformers is part of Fortnite now. So I know we were talking about that it was coming up, or maybe it was rumored to be something happening, but it is definitely in Fortnite now. There are screens coming up telling me to download Fortnite on my Fire Stick or whatever, and I'm so I don't have that. But Optimus Prime is standing there next to Fortnite characters, so it's there. Just
I believe it's a skin you can buy so that you your character will then look like Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a trailer here for it's supposed to show it.
Okay.
Let's see. I just want to skip to it.
Yeah.
I think it's close to the end.
Here we go.
They get to they get to the temple and Optimus is there, and then a little human-sized Optimus comes in to help him out.
There you go. Cool. That's fun. All right. So yeah, I know that we were talking about that, so I wanted to just kind of mention that it is actually happening. On to merchandise. Goat Crew, whatever that is crossing over with Transformers in a licensed apparel crossover. So you can get a line of both G1 and Transformers Rise of the Beast t-shirts, hoodies, and caps. Cool enough. Next up, we are doing another crossover with Cross Studio and Transformers Rise of the Beast. It's a timepiece that they have announced. And this is very similar. If you've seen Rise of the Beast, you'll recognize some of the stuff in here. One is the Air Razor kind of statue that they've got is a very big part of the beginning of the movie. And then they've got a little watch that is reminiscent of another part of the movie. So there's some really cool things here. This stuff's really expensive. So maybe this is for some of the people who should be part of our Patreon. If you're gonna be buying this stuff, maybe become part of our Patreon. Just saying. But yeah, this stuff's pretty cool. If you're really into the movie, then maybe this is something you might want for your office or a watch or something like that. It's neat.
I think the statue holds the watch.
Does it? Okay, yeah. Cool. It's neat. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like it's pretty watch neat.
Is there in the middle.
I'm scanning this story to find an actual price on it, and I can't find it. But yeah, I don't see it. I'm sure it's in here somewhere.
If the price isn't readily available, it's going to be expensive.
I'm sure it's very expensive. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. We have got a post on Instagram from Stephen Capel Jr. and talking about Rise of the Beast and showing some concept art. So we've got it here and just showing some stuff here, going through different iterations of characters and what the concept art was. I really like this one picture once Jeremy gets to it, there's a picture of Unicron. That's a pretty epic picture. I think it's the next one. Nope, next one. There you go. That one. That's awesome. So yeah, I really like that one. But yeah, so we're going to get a lot of this. And I mean, if you've been with the podcast for a while, every time there's a movie, concept art just kind of keeps coming for years. So we'll be talking about concept art for a long time. Anyway, moving on, we have got some more stuff here. Pre-visualization models by Fred Pasci. So these are some of those previs models. So this is just for the first one is for Optimus Primal. Then we've got Cheetor, Rhinox, and then the Scorponok drones, and then we've got I think the first, that one's Scourge. He's looking a little light, but then we've got the a couple of the Decepticons. Oh, well, there's a few more of them in there. RC's down at the bottom of that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So this is just some some 3D stuff.
Yeah, Wheeljack's looking a little squat.
A little bit squat. Next one, we've got Noah's exosuit behind the scenes images. So this is just some stuff that you've seen if you've watched any kind of behind the scenes. It's none of the stuff in that movie was real. It's all in a big fake studio. So you can take a look here and go through some of that. They got some storyboards and see where they have the suit that he's wearing is kind of funky, but it's all for the camera to pick up so that the CGI people can put it on afterwards.
Yeah.
It's nice that he Stephen Cable Jr. It shows off how he knows it's the exosuit from the '86 movie. He's tying it in directly, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next, we have an interview from Stephen Cable Jr., and this is on Deadline, where he's talking about helming another film. So whether he'll revisit the franchise or not. And I have not read this interview, but would you guys be interested in another Stephen Cable Jr. Transformers movie?
Yes, without
Definitely.
hesitation.
All right.
I mean, he knows what a Transformer is. Michael Bay had to be explained what a Transformer was. So.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's two interviews like this one, and there's another one coming up in Entertainment Weekly, I think, in our list here, and they both. I think I forget which one it's in, but they mentioned like he talks about how he'd like to go explore Transformers and other planets. He says, I took some inspiration from the Japanese versions of the Beast Wars animated, shows, and said, Transformers on lots of different planets. That's how I got the idea for the intro for Rise of the Beasts. So this guy's in it. So I would love to see more from him. And he pitched the G.I. Joe crossover to Hasbro and Paramount. And so he's who we have to thank for all this stuff, for for that teaser at the end there.
I mean, really, that's the biggest freaking thing that the Transformers movies have been missing the whole time. So, and it's the easiest layup that has ever been laid up.
Sector 7 should have been G.I. Joe from the very start.
Yeah.
From the start. So yeah. Or Mask. I mean, they could have done Mask in there.
Yeah. I mean, and then a Mask live action movie would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, I guess we're just going to skip to the Entertainment Weekly one since we did it. It is, So Charles touched on it. Rise of the Beast 2. I guess it's gonna happen. Lorenzo de Bonaventura. He likes the paychecks that come from these movies.
I know. I mean,
tell me I'm lying, Charles.
No, you're. I mean, who doesn't like a paycheck? But I mean, I know he's all over the place with his like I mean, he just wants to make cool movies. He doesn't really care about Transformers backstory or consistency or continuity or any of that stuff. But I mean, of course, he's going to always be. He's a producer, so he's always going to be in hype mode about hyping up everything. Everything he did in the past was awesome, and everything he does in the future is going to be awesome. So he's going to hype everything. So. I mean, I'm still. I mean, it seems like as long as he's, they're picking people who are enthusiastic and interested in Transformers and interested in Transformer storytelling. I think, things are hopefully gonna be positive. I mean, it sounds like we'll talk more about the next Transformers movie later, but it sounds like things are on the right track. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, they're always going to make a Transformers movie at this point. There's always going to be a next Transformers movie. As long as they keep making Marvel and DC movies, there will be a Transformers movie because the franchise just makes money. Doesn't matter whether the movie's good or bad, people go to see it. The last few Bay movies proved that. They were horrendous, but they still made boatloads of money.
Although you could say that the critical reception for The Last Night hurt Bumblebee's money making ability.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. People saw The Last Night and said, "This is terrible. I'm never going to see another Transformers movie."
Just like with The Last Jedi, basically killing Solo. I mean, it was the same thing.
They what now?
The having a horrible a movie that made money but had a horrible critical reaction, followed up
What
by
happened to Solo?
it didn't make money.
Oh, okay.
And Bumblebee didn't make money, but it was a critical, critically people liked it. Critically people like Solo, but
Thought
they
you were
didn't
gonna
make
tell me
money
Han's
because yeah. But the movie that preceded them was so horrible that people just had a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting just reading this article, Michael Kelly is the actor who plays Agent Burke in at the end of Rise of the Beast.
Mhm.
Same name as Michael Kelly, the head of
I
VP at
didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I was reading, I was like, wait, the VP of Hasbro is also the actor in the movie? Like, wait a minute.
He's also great in Jack Ryan. That's a great series on Amazon.
If you were head of VP of marketing or whatever, wouldn't you put yourself in the movies if you could? Yeah. So the movies are going to continue. Let's just hope it's a continuation, like an actual sequel, and not some kind of like shoehorned sequel that they just kind of make it. So if they get the same director in there.
I think that's a little bit the danger, is that you don't want to stuff the next movie too full, like with GI, like you've already got Autobots and Maximals, and they said, like, the producer, your friend Mr. De Bonaventura in the interview said, we're not done with the Maximals yet, so the Autobots and the Maximals are hopefully going to be in the next movie, and then you throw GI Joe in there. That's a lot of. We already see, so a lot of fair amount of the characters didn't get a lot of screen time, so that's.
Can you imagine two Transformers movies a year, or one every other year?
I think one every other year would be better than two a year, because
the
audiences just wouldn't pay for that. It's not Marvel.
It's.
But I would love to see a standalone Beast Wars movie with those characters.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we have one last story to talk about, and that is that we finally have pricing on the Blu-ray and digital releases of Rise of the Beast. We still don't have a date on which they're going out, but we do have some pricing. So the DVD is going to be $25.99. The Blu-ray and a digital copy is going to be $31.99. The 4K and digital is going to be $37.99, and the Prime Video, which that just like buying it on Amazon.
Yes,
digitally.
So stupid. Is $20. So, yeah.
And that'd probably be similar from like Vudu, Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are going to be the established prices. Yeah. Or it's free if you torrent.
I just look. Apple is $19.99 as well. So.
Yeah. I can't wrap my head around not buying physical media. I'm just gonna buy the digital copy.
I do it.
It's
so ridiculous. Buy the physical copy with the digital piece.
This is we've already got this for games, like PC games. You can't get physical media anymore for PC games. So we're in the dystopian future where digital is basically taking over everything.
That's why I don't pay for games anymore. Unless they're for my console, which I buy a physical copy for, I don't buy games.
You're the problem.
I still
You're downloading the car.
I still yes, I am downloading the car. Yes. Yeah. Having people pay for something that's not, you can't hold in your hand, I can't wrap my head around it. I have a whole room of things that I can grab with my hands. It's just it drives me nuts. So anyway, I'm obviously the problem.
No, I mean we can have another like rant on digital media for another day, but there are definitely problems with this going forward. So let's move on.
All right. Well, I have a couple interviews about Transformers 1 to talk about. The first one is with Chris Hemsworth. He was on a press junket for Extraction 2. And the interviewer here from Collider asked him about Transformers 1 as well. And it was like, is he going to have an Australian accent? And Chris Hemsworth said no. I mean, he's like, this is a younger version, it's Orion Pax. So he's not going to have the Peter Cullen voice, but he's not going to have an Australian voice. He's going to have a youthful voice and sound. He's hoping that there will be like hints of the Optimus Prime character that you hear. So that'll be cool. And then in terms of like how he got the role or got involved with it, he said that the script is great. And this is one where he wasn't really sure about it because he hadn't done animation, but he mentioned it to his kids and they're like, oh, that's awesome. So it seems like his kids were kind of the impetus to get him involved. And he's really seems to be excited about it. So that's great. Next interview we have is with Scarlett Johansson, who she was doing what was she doing press for? She was doing press for Asteroid City.
Yeah.
And she said that she's worked with Josh Cooley before. She loves working with him, and the film looks amazing. And she said it has a very dramatic feeling to it, but there's also a lot of heart in it, and it's really exciting. So it seems like both of the lead actors are really excited about being in the movie, and that's great to hear. Who knows when we're going to actually see any actual clips from the movie or trailers or anything, but it seems like they're far along in the process. So
I'm hoping there's going to be a teaser trailer by the end of this year, since it'll be coming next fall. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and
one. Go ahead.
Also, going back to that watch, Daryl, Frenzy is Red pointed out, and I looked it up too. It was 98,000 CHF, which is Swiss francs. It translates to $109,572.50 US. So yeah, we need those people on our Patreon.
So
why make a watch that's that expensive?
You only have to sell a couple of them.
What the hell? And that it's a Rise of the Beast branded watch. It's $110,000. What the fuck? Who's buying this? Jesus Christ.
Lorenzo de Bonaventura.
It's ridiculous. Wow. My God.
Well, I mean, the ones with all the news of like upcoming like stuff that's in the works, unfortunately, we might be waiting a little bit longer with the writer's strike, the Hollywood writer's strike. So,
although if this one's already written and they've already put down the voices, we're just waiting on animation.
Yeah, I mean, Transformers 1, I think is already in production, so that'll go forward. But like a sequel to Rise of the Beast will probably be a little bit delayed with no writers writing at the moment. So
better that the strike happen now than when they're in the middle of it, like Age of Extinction.
Yeah, yeah. Or what was it? Revenge of the Fallen.
Revenge of the Fallen. That was it. Whatever. Yeah. One of those bad ones.
none of those movies had writers. But yeah, I mean, so everyone, please direct your anger towards the mega corporations who don't want to pay the writers and not the actual writers. I mean, the mega corporations are the problem, not the writers themselves. The writers should get paid a fair wage.
The actors might be going on strike soon too. Don't know.
Yeah, good on them. Support their colleagues. That's great. I mean, grind things to a halt so that the corporations finally cave in and understand where their bread is buttered. I mean, if they think AI is going to be able to replace all the writers and all the actors, I think they're sorely they're in for a rude awakening.
Don't let Skynet win.
Exactly. All right, I think that's all our media news. So let's move on to convention news.
All right, just one thing convention news this week. TFCon Toronto has announced actor Paul Eiding is going to be attending. He was the voice of Perceptor and the Quintesson in G1, and he's also been a voice actor in like Metal Gear Solid. He was Colonel Roy Campbell, and I'm sure he's done tons of other things. And he's been to TFCon many times, so be sure to check him out. And he'll be doing Q&A panels and have autograph sessions, so should be great.
All right, and we will finish up the show with a little bit of feedback. Okay, we got some YouTube comments from regular listener DMC 2008. So they have comments on the comics news and on Rise of the Beast. So first, their comment on comics. They say, personally, as much as it sucks, I'd rather wait for a book longer between issues than have artists rotate in and out. I really dislike how jarring it is when the art changes from issue to issue or even page to page. Looking at you, IDW Dark Cybertron. I tend to agree with you. I mean, in terms of page to page, but I do, enjoy artists, not rotating like every book, but maybe rotating between story arcs.
Yeah. Or if they did like IDW did, where like Livia was doing stories in the past, where someone else was doing stories in the present. So even within within a single book, that makes sense. But Dark Cybertron was bad, or in terms of like different artists without any reason.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Cybertron was basically they were beholden to the toy release schedule, so they basically had to get a bunch of people. All the regular artists could not keep up that pace for getting all those books done in time for the toy production, so they had to have a bunch of other artists fill in, and that's what caused the wild inconsistency on all the characters, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean. I would be okay with a little bit of a delay, but I mean, if you're relying on one guy to do everything, that's kind of and as I work in engineering and development of different products, you talk about single points of failure. If you have a single point of failure in your system design, that's a real risky situation. So if that one thing breaks or fails, then it's going to take down your whole system. So, good thoughts for Daniel Warren Johnson. Keep him, hope he's doing well, but take some of the pressure off of him so that he doesn't have to do everything all the time. So. All right. Also, DMC 2008 talks about the movie. And he had a comment about, what you asked last week, Daryl, about people having a standing ovation for Bumblebee's big scene. And he says, regarding that standing ovation, I got to be honest, I could care less about that character. Maybe the Bumblebee movie made me like him more, but I don't even feel like it was the same character, to be honest. But surprisingly, I felt like standing and cheering because of the way that scene was edited, especially the song choice. So, yeah. Mama Said Knock You Out. That's a good song. I mean, and starting off with that, don't call it a comeback. And it's gets the blood pumping. There you go. So thanks, DMC 2008. Thanks for your comments. And we'll keep hope you were able to tune in for the live stream we did a few days ago. And hope we got all our Rise of the Beast things out of our system. So, we're now everything is turning towards the comics and Transformers 1. So Rise of the Beast is old news now. But it's good to see. I mean, it's good to be excited about Transformers media again. Seems like stuff is, we're on the upswing here. So hope it keeps going. But this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode is not going to keep going because we're at the end. So thanks everyone for watching and listening. As always, at the end of every episode of Transmissions and Transmissions Alt Mode, we give a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrons. These are the folks who continue to support the podcast at our highest level on Patreon, and that's why we give them a shout out in every episode. So thank you once again to John Forex Levengood and Demon Tech 82. You guys rock and are awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, all listeners and watchers of Transmissions Alt Mode, for hanging out with us for this episode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool Transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our Transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.